Hi, everybody. It's Saturday. It's Saturday afternoon and it's early. And I wanted to get this video done because I'm gonna spend some time with my family tomorrow. So it's early Saturday. Just got done at Hartville Flea Market. Part of what I'm going to show you today is a portion of what I bought at Rogers, Ohio, at the flea market on Friday. And then the rest of the portion is going to be from Hartville early this morning. And I mean early. I was out there crazy early. I bought a pair of incredible 1950s modernist lamps with chenille shades. And they're like dancers or fairies, and they have like mushrooms at their feet. They're so cool. I love them so much. Anyways, came home and I changed because I was hot and sweaty, and I changed my jewelry already today. Bakelite heart because I don't know, I felt like there had to be love today. And then these little three charms were given to me as gifts, cross and a Madonna, and there's a lucky horn there somewhere. Yeah, those were gifts, so I put those on. And then my turquoise necklace, I guess I should take this off and show you up close, but it's an incredible turquoise necklace. I've never worn it before, at least that I remember. And then tanzanite and green garnet and diamond pendant, and that's exceptional. And then this one is an Anthony Roberts, and it's tourmaline and sterling silver. And I love it very, very much. And I wanted to, well, you know what? I'm going to take that off and show you. So thanks for bearing with me, but look at the quality of the silver work on that. I'm not one for wire wrapping, but when wire wrapping transcends just wire and stones, I go crazy. And those tourmalines are so beautiful. I wish you could see through the stones a little bit better, but those are exceptional. Green tourmaline, pink tourmaline, and then the way the back is kind of very mechanical and very streamlined and very Art Deco and industrial. And then you have this whiplash and curvilinear, almost H.R. Geiger from the gentleman who designed the Aliens movies. Very curvilinear, very whiplash, very foreign to us in form. And so incredibly well done. But look at those tight spirals. I could talk about this forever. And I probably should in one of my upcoming videos, but I love that so much. So that was my necklace of choice. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to go camera down. And I have a list of people that I'm going to take you down now. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so, so much. And thank you to all the new subscribers because there's a ton of you now and I feel so incredibly blessed. So thank you so much for keeping this kind of unemployed person employed. So thank you so much. I'm going to take you down now and thank you again so, so much. So we're going to do this and I don't know if that's exactly where I want ya. But, well, I should say where's optimal viewing. Maybe if we move you that way just a little bit. I know it's at an angle and it's a little awkward, but I'm just going to show you things. And let me scoot my chair up so I'm not leaning forward. Because if my doctor watches this, my back doctor, I'm going to take this necklace off. And we're going to put this up here because I don't want to hit the table with that. So we're going to leave that there. And then here was my list of other people. Look at how scratchy this is. But if you would like to take a screenshot of this, or at least write these down. Kirsten Red Resale. Kirsten is a very dear friend. She sells, I think, on Thursday nights only, well, at least normally, Thursday nights. And I think in Ohio time, I think it's 7 p.m. Ohio time. But Kirsten Red Resale, she is fantastic. And she sells vintage jewelry, sterling silver. She's a very dear friend. So please go over to Kirsten Red Resale. And then Steph sells stuff by the seashore. And of course, why I wrote it smaller so it actually fits on there. And I didn't know any other way to do this. But Steph is amazing. She's got a fantastic channel and she sells vintage items and smalls and unique pieces. But her personality, I just love Steph. I can't say enough good there. Lady Sylvia. Lady Sylvia's channel is one of my favorites for historical, show and tell, information, delightful. She shows what she loves. She's passionate, she's an advanced collector, and she is a master when it comes to beadwork. And she's the amazing friend of mine now through meeting her on YouTube. She sent me the two brooches, the flower brooch and the owl brooch. Lady Sylvia's channel. I think she recently moved. And just give her a little bit of time to get settled, unboxed, and I'm sure she'll be back up and running. But please go and subscribe to Lady Sylvia. Subscribe to all of these fine people. And then last but not least, I don't think I've ever been able to do this, but Alamode by Adrian. And there's Alamode by Adrian. And you will find Adrian refreshing, beautiful. She sells amazing pieces. I don't know her normal days and times because more recently I haven't had a great opportunity to go on YouTube very frequently to be watching things. But Kirsten, you must subscribe to her. Steph, the same way. Lady Sylvia, you'll love her. And Alamode by Adrian, amazing, amazing. These four. Normally they say there's 3 graces in life. Well, these are my 4 graces for this week. And you know that I used to show other channels and mention other channels all the time, and I haven't lost sight of that because I know where I've come from in this community, and I'm so incredibly grateful for everyone. And of course, Tanya at My Jewelry Addiction, Thelma at Thelma Thrifts. I mean, the list rolls on of, Anna at Jewelry Galore, Bruce and Dennis at Bruden's Treasure Chest, Jen at Jen's Gems and Vintage Finds. There's so many of them, and I never, Queen Anitra, I never want to leave someone out of the fun because anyways, you'll understand that these 4, once you get into them, hadn't mentioned them before very much, and I love them. I love all 4 of them equally. I adore them. So I wanted to make sure that was addressed and taken care of. This has been on my desk. I mean, look, it's all crumpled up. It's been on my desk for like over a month. So at least I got to that. Now, on to why you're here. You wanted to see things that came in from my haul. Now, this is both from Rogers Flea Market and Hartville this morning. So Rogers Flea Market yesterday on Friday morning, and I was there very, very early. I'll start with most of the things from Rogers, and some things are a little mixed in. You had seen some of these pieces in the back of my vehicle, but a lot of you would like to see them up close, and I don't blame you. That's that brass ring with the amethyst stones that is so beautifully constructed. And isn't that fantastic? Oh, and my octopus ring, because so many of you have asked to see the Christina Malcolm double finger octopus ring. So there it is again in all of its glory. I supplied Christina with the stone, and then she constructed this, and we traded rings. I made her a ring, and she made me this ring. And there's octopus designs that are engraved and acid etched all over the surface. I've had that in other videos, but many of you have asked to see that up close again, and I see why. It's a work of wearable art, and I just completely love this ring. Really does define my life. So thank you, Christina. If you ever see this video, and I know, we got to get together and go to lunch soon. We have to. Brass and amethyst, and maybe I can bring Christina on. Maybe you all should, in the comment section, cheer Christina on to come onto my video. So the amethyst modernist and simplistic amethyst ring, I loved that. And I usually don't buy brass because it's so hard to wear most of the time. This one was bought with a whole bunch of stuff in a box. I normally don't buy animal-related items, especially ivory and such, and I've covered that before. This is some sort of either talon or fang. I believe that this, the way it's shaped, I think that's more of a tooth than it is a claw. But that's very interesting with the silver frame and the silver chain. And again, that was in with 2 other pieces from Joe out at Rogers, so I technically didn't pay for it. This is the mother of pearl, or Bethlehem pearl, that I got from Linda. The pin back was missing, but I only paid $5 for that, and I thought that would make an exceptional brooch or a ring or a pendant for a necklace, but that really was fantastic. It was originally a pin, but that carving and pierce work on Bethlehem pearl, I feel very blessed to own these pieces when I find them, and I have a very large collection of them, especially in Bethlehem Pearl buttons. If you haven't seen my button video, please go over to the button video I did very early on YouTube, because you can make a ton of money on vintage buttons if you buy the right ones. And that video is truly exceptional in showing you examples that you really should look for. And there's a whole card of Bethlehem Pearl in that video. This is a piece of art glass, again, Native American made. And sterling silver and foiled art glass. I think that's a keep for me. I think I am going to keep that. Let's see. Oh, the 80s pin that Linda so graciously gave me. It's missing a couple stones, but I really like the construction on this. Very late 80s, early 90s. Anodized aluminum, so artist made on that. And thank you again so much for being with me. I feel like I'm in such a panic and such a rush. The amber brooch, you saw this in the back of the car in the Rogers video, but you did want to see it up close. I don't blame you whatsoever. And better lighting, things really show up quite well. So most of these items are for sale as well. And we'll get into me and selling and when I'm going to do my first sale very soon. There's a little slight delay just based on the fact that I've been doing local shows and I've been so crazy busy doing local setups that I just haven't had the appropriate time to get into measuring and weighing items I want to sell. This is a sweetheart bracelet, sterling silver, forget-me-not is the design, and sterling silver on the original ribbon. I really liked that. And then, let's see, what else did I get from Rogers? I want to make sure we have the Rogers stuff, the cross, this very old rhinestone cross, and you saw that out in the daylight. What a beauty and a stunner. Absolutely fantastic. Haven't really had time to study it and look at it, but I loved that cross. So that was a definite yes. And I know, most of you are like, settle down. Well, I have this whole side of the table to get through. And, after all, it's Saturday and I'm a little tired out, so I just wanted to take a break. I think eventually tonight I'm going to go on a bike ride. So very old art glass in the center, and this is a clothing button. And fantastic for Victorian. Look at those little gargoyle dragon faces. And then faux peridot in brass, die-formed brass, machine stamped, but fantastic for a Victorian jeweled button. These used to go for around $125. Now at the national button shows, they go for around $85. So those have come down quite a bit. I think most things in antique and vintage buttons have slid down just a little bit. This ruler I got there, I'm going to try and squeeze these things forward because the back of the table is awfully congested. So thank you for letting me regroup my mess over here. This ruler was out at Rogers, and I normally don't buy early advertising, but in Ohio, things that are from Ohio sell in Ohio when it comes to turn of the century advertising. And this is a celluloid ruler, and it advertised the Cleveland Bag Factory from Cleveland, Ohio, and they said they manufactured burlap, cotton, and paper bags that were weatherproof, and they also did advertising signs at the time. So I just thought this, for a folding celluloid ruler, was quite a rare survivor. And I really like the condition of that being celluloid. Could you imagine in the wrong environment, this would completely be warped and just a mess, because celluloid is so finicky when it comes to humidity. And I'll do a video on celluloid because a lot of you have asked on materials to get back to my material educational videos. That absolutely is going to happen. I haven't forgotten that, but a lot of you love these shows and tells. And this is from 1992, and it says Morris for president. I just thought this was great because you know that Jeremy's cat's name is Morris. He looks exactly like that. And, me and Jeremy have been joking, over the last couple of years that Morris, his cat, looks so presidential sometimes. And this button is just hilarious. So that was kind of an inside joke between me and Jeremy. And I love that button. And then this is one of the more interesting pieces, and I guess I should probably bring this back to a Native American specific video. This is, I believe, Santo Domingo. I believe that it's from around the 1920s. It might be slightly earlier, but it's not much later. Maybe as late as the late 30s. So let's say circa dating 1920, 1925, and maybe into the 1930s. But this is all chip inlay turquoise. The red, white, and black are plastic. Most of the time, the black was made out of expired battery cases. So the Native Americans were using parts from battery casings, sometimes records. The white and the red are just plastic. They're hard plastic. They're not coral or any sort of precious material. And what's unusual about this is the size. Normally, these pendants are much, much smaller, and the form is different. The form on this one, very unusual. The heart, and this large. Normally they're not this big. I've never seen one with the heart and then an inside arrow. Again, I might decide that this stays in my collection. I'm not exactly sure, but when I find something like this, it depends on price sometimes. So I always tell people I've been a reseller for so long, but when I find something like this, that I don't think I'm going to find again anytime soon. Sometimes a little bit on the fence about selling it, but if I get my price, then it is, it's okay to go to another collector in a way. And you have to remember, I started this as a collector, not as a reseller. So that's kind of, I've always had the eye of a collector more than just a reseller. And I think that's sometimes been, my advantage. Not that I'm better than anyone by any stretch, but just different. These are 14 karat gold earrings, and I wasn't sure when I bought them, and I bought them for very little. They're signed up inside, 14K up inside, and they're very lightweight. They do have some wear, so I might have to sell these as is, or I might have to, unfortunately, let them go to scrap or just get the metal value out of them. I might be able to get them fixed and buffed. I'll take a look at that sooner, but those are 14 karat gold, and I loved them. They're very, very, very nice, even though they have some dents. And then this is the cameo ring. This is the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, and it's almost like, I never liked these sayings, but that's a very good mantra for just nowadays. I really think that tells, the full story. And when that's on as a ring, look how whimsical. Those are just CZs or crystal. And then the metal is just gold-plated base metal. It is artist signed up here. Haven't looked it up yet. But I'm definitely going to take a look and see who did this. But can you imagine having these hand-carved cameos of monkeys with the see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil? It's a fantastic ring, and I just absolutely loved it. But again, even though I love it, I'm still going to sell it. But I tried to pick things, I've always tried to pick things that are more artistic and more artisan or unusual to be made. This was in my video from Rogers, and please excuse the audio from around the 23-minute mark to the 25-minute mark. There was a slight copyright issue with my video because there was music playing in the background, and contrary to popular belief, YouTube just does not magically remove that from your videos. That's a farce. That's not happening. But anyways, this is John McCann, and it's a military issue bracelet. His SOCH number is on the back. Sterling silver, a gigantic link, but I've always saved these. So this was in Linda's stuff, and it wasn't exactly cheap. But I really love Linda, and she treats me right on price. So this had to come home with me, and I'll probably just put it in a box and maybe hold on to it. I've tried to reach out to families over the years to see if I can hook these up with past relatives, but that's more than likely Army and, Army ID bracelet. And anyways, I love that, and it makes me very happy to own it. I don't know where the bag just went. Is that wild? Oh, it's right here. I thought the bag just completely vanished, but no, it's right there. All right, we're good. Let's move this up. And then this is the Amazonite pendant. Amazonite and sterling silver pendant that I bought from Linda. Look how huge it is. It's gigantic. Look how huge that is. And I love that step down design. You know how when I make my pendants, I always kind of consider what's above the stone or what's above the main portion, kind of do a decorative bail area? That is genius. I loved that infinity symbol, the oxidation, the patination, and then the size of that stone. I'm not a fan of Amazonite. Normally, I'm just not that person. And yet, this one, I couldn't help myself. That was in Linda's stuff, so I bought that. I thought that was a beautiful thing. And there's something about the energy on this one. There's a vibe to this. The previous owner, I don't know. I get such a positive feeling about that. And sometimes when that happens, I buy the piece even if I'm not so sure it's for me. This one's got a big fingerprint on the back, but it's steel and it's designer signed. And then the front, I haven't figured this out quite yet. I don't know if that's 14 karat gold and engine turned, but I do know that these are 3 tiny bezel set diamonds. And those are tiny bezel set diamonds. Very contemporary. I think unisex. I think a man could wear that, and I think a woman could wear that. I think that's very unisex. And a lot of my pieces that I buy, I've always thought that about jewelry. I've never understood why it's specifically made for a woman or specifically made for a man. I never quite understood that, even when I was like 18 or 19. That just didn't make sense to me. And I know in other cultures across the world, it doesn't make sense either. So I'm not alone in that feeling. This is an evil eye and an all-seeing eye. It's set in 900 silver, but I loved how little it was. So this would be kind of a thing that you could stack on a chain with other charms to be very protective. Very, very, very nice, small size, and it was extremely inexpensive. I think a dollar or $2. Let's see, what else do we have? We'll get into, here we go. What a mess. I'm trying to move things forward because I almost knocked 3 things off the back of the table here a second ago. This is the Bauer cross that I got at Rogers. And why I'm bringing it back is I cleaned it up and it was so dirty and so bad. I cleaned that up and look at the sparkle of those. They're just rhinestones, but they're all prong set and it's signed Bauer, B-A-U-E-R. Bauer, B-A-U-E-R. There has been what appears to be a slight repair right here, which I had noticed when I bought it. And this enhancer for a necklace, it's a piece of tubing that slips right off. So you can just take this whole attachment off so you can convert the brooch to a necklace. So you just take this little tubular thing with a bail on it and you slide it on here and then you close the clasp down. Make sure you put the rollover down. And then this bail just flips up so you can wear that as a necklace pendant. I like it both as a pin and a pendant. I like it both ways. But that's Bauer, who is very well known for such rhinestone pieces. I've never had a cross by Bauer, but I thought that was beautiful and very opulent, very large. So I thought that was great. It was not very much money, so that's a very quick sell. And then this is a Bakelite dip pen. It's in the egg yolk amber color, but it is mottled slightly. And then this is black Bakelite towards the front, and then the little nib that you would then write with at the front of this. And very beautiful. I think very elegant, because look how long it is. Very, very elegant for a pen. That was $2, or maybe it was $4. But that was a yes for me, because I have a jar full of them, and I just kind of put them all down inside of the jar, and there's all different colors of those. So I bought that. Then the only other ones I got from Linda were... Okay, I got this one from Linda. I want to make sure. So this is Rogers. This is Hartville. This is, I don't know. I'm losing track. Okay, this one's for sure from Linda. This is egg yolk amber, and it's true egg yolk. Unfortunately, the color's a little washed out. It's deeper yellow than what it appears on camera. And then sterling silver, handmade sterling silver bracelet. Very moderately priced. So when I saw this, another person was looking at it, and I give people their time with items. I never rush another fellow customer. And yeah, it was between this one and another bracelet. And when the person put this back and left, it was a for sure yes for me based on price. And I like the size of this. It's large, but it's not too big. I've seen some of these that get physically too large for most people to wear them. And I always look at things in perspective for other people and for the resale of things. But the craft on this, the design, I guess I would say this. Linda you have to think of it this way. Linda had over, 400 or 500 bracelets, and I bought one. I bought one bracelet from her. So you have to think of that. I selected just the one. And I guess because, well, I didn't have an amber bracelet in inventory, I liked the construction, I liked the stone, the price made sense, and I knew there was money left for resale. And I knew that amber, normally amber is a very, very quick sell, just like everything else, just like turquoise. Amber comes and goes, and most of the time it stays. This I got from Linda as well. And again, this was set in Siam. So there's the strange part. Most of the time these medallions are broken Chinese porcelain. Now, are they buried in the ground? Most of them are not. Are they ancient? Most of them are not. Sometimes they're antique. Most of the time they're vintage. And they are shards from pottery that then's been shaped into a more regular surface. But the odd part of this is everyone always says, well, those are surely Chinese. And I'm going to check the mark on the back. I don't know where my loop went. There's my coffee cup, though. Just had my loop literally 2 seconds ago. Wow, what a moment. I don't want to pause. There it is. I didn't want to pause the video. But thanks for bearing with me when there's a little bit of a blooper. Yeah, okay. So I got my loop out and I want to make sure. This is signed right on the back there. Look at it. You know, people say these are always Chinese. I thought just this porcelain part was. Yeah, but it was set in Siam silver. Siam and then sterling. So it's it's Siam silver. So just incredible when you think about the history of jewelry and how much we continue to learn every single day of our lives. You know, and anyways, sterling silver drop down bail and fantastic. But yeah, there was a big myth and a misconception that these are always like ancient and buried, and there had been a lot of stories about the porcelain pieces. Now some are older. I'm not going to say that they're not, but on this one right here, that is an older porcelain shard, but that was never in the ground. That was never, you know, buried and dug up and all that other stuff. Anyways, so on that one. And then we are going to go to, I don't know what this token is. Don't ask me. I don't know if anyone knows what this is. Please leave it in the comments. It's some sort of brass or bronze. It is very old. I'll show you the back. So hopefully there's a coin expert out there. And then I know you're going to flood the comment section with ideas, and that's perfectly fine. I don't know. But I bought it for $1 just because it's just cool. It's just different. And then sometimes on these, I get the feeling like, wow, I'm in the presence of greatness. I don't get the feeling that I'm in the presence of greatness, but I get the feeling that I'm in the presence of something very unusual. It doesn't translate to a lot of value sometimes. And let me say that again, because a lot of times when people say, oh, that's rare or something, that doesn't always translate to higher value. It just doesn't. This ring I did get out at Rogers. And it is by Alwan Vahan, which I was correct in the video. And that's 14 karat gold halo, tiny little diamonds, single cut diamonds down the side, but really good quality on the stones on that. And that is 14 karat topped gold. So that whole bail or halo, I shouldn't say bail, it's a halo, bezel instead of bail. And then on the inside, you can see very well made. Sterling silver, 14 karat and diamonds. And yeah, every time I make a mistake, I get the giggles. I think it's hilarious. And then after I watch back the video, I'm like, wow, I made another mistake. Hey, not perfect. Nobody in this gig is perfect. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. These are glass, and they are amethyst glass, and they're purple, deep purple amethyst glass, and then just very well done clip backs. Probably late 80s, early 90s. Those were $1. And I was like, in that condition, fantastic. I'm taking them. This Trifari necklace was $1. And I show you these because not everything I touch is $9,000. And I think it was a really good reminder. It was from Tanya and my mom. They're like, hey, show some of the stuff that built your empire. And I'm like, okay, this one is sterling silver. And I'm sorry, this one's silver plated. And Trifari. I did get a sterling silver Trifari brooch, but I don't think that's in this bag. I think it's on my desk being cleaned. This one's silver plated Trifari and a bamboo style. That was $1. So again, online, maybe I can get $28 to around $30. And then this one is 1928. I don't buy the replica stuff. I just don't do it. I just don't. This was beautiful though. Like the size of this, and I liked the step down. So I gave it a little bit of forgiveness, and I said, is this timeless or important? Nope and nope. Is it sellable and cool because it's, a retro piece that's dated 1928 and it's from the 1980s and sellable these days? Yes, because it's very wearable. The condition's great, the silver plating is great. Again, that was $2. So being $2, I could probably sell it for around 25, maybe 30 on the high end, and maybe I take 20 for it, make $19 or $18 to then go out and buy a whole nother bag of goodies to then sell for, more money. I don't hold out for potential. That's craziness, because it's like Charlie Brown waiting in the field for the great pumpkin. Sometimes the potential money just doesn't come, and there's no reason to do that. It's time to move the stuff along. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Trifari on these earrings, again, only $1, and I could sell them for around 10. So I said yes to that, and a very quick sell. And then this was, the clasp was junk. It's just a junky gold-plated clasp. But these are all little amber beads, and they're real, genuine, out-of-the-ground amber, and I liked the color. I liked the size, I liked the polish, and you know what I said to myself? There are certain people who don't like amber that are gigantic and big and clumsy. There are certain people that like delicate and airy and easy to stack. So on that one, for $1, and they're knotted in between, I wouldn't buy those beads at a gem sale or a gem show for less than probably 20 for that color and that clarity. And maybe, wholesale, you could get them for 10, but then I'd have to knot them and put a clasp on them. No thanks. I'll just buy them at the flea market for $1. So that was a yes. Now, on to the more specific things. And then look, we're done. So let me scoot all these down. And again, thank you so much. Now, most of these were heartfelt. And there's one that's missing from the table. It's the big necklace that I bought that's in the short feed, which if you go to my shorts, they're listed somewhere, probably underneath this, underneath the tool kind of bar on your screen. These were all heartfelt flea market. Let me make sure I said this right. Yeah, I think these were all heartfelt, and the buttons were heartfelt as well. So this is a Hickok, which is a known company for gentlemen's like tie bars. I wasn't worried about the Hickok part, and I wasn't worried about the $25, but I am going to research these arrowheads. Yes, there is a varnish over them. They might be old. They might be ancient. They looked wrong to me at first. Like they looked like eccentrics, meaning they looked like eccentric points that were more contemporary, flint knapped. The more I studied them, the more I'm thinking these potentially could be right. So further research on these. Now, because they're in such good condition, that doesn't mean that they're not authentic. A lot of times what I do with things like this that are older or ancient, or, let's say 1,000 years old or more, if they are, I have to prove it. So not the opposite. I don't disprove that they're not real. I want to prove that they're real. So that's my way of doing this, if that makes sense. That's the way I've always done this, is I've always challenged myself to make sure that they are real, rather than saying, these are real, and then trying to prove that they're not. I try to fight and prove that something is real by research. That's just the way I've always done it. And with attribution on rhinestone makers, that's another video that I'm going to do, because attribution on rhinestone producers, and to go from arrowheads to contemporary rhinestones, what an odd juxtaposition. But it just, because I looked at this brooch sitting in front of me, it's definitively D&E for Juliana. So it's D&E, the producer is D&E for Juliana. Now this was very dirty in the video by my car. It is still missing a stone, so I have to replace that. But that's an easy fix for me. But look at those stones. And that for sure is D&E for Juliana. So, some attributions can get very, very tricky, very difficult. And in the 28 years I've been doing this, I'm still very reluctant sometimes to attribute a maker on something that's unsigned. I just tell people, be careful and be slow and be very intentional. Sometimes what I recommend to sellers as friendly advice, because this is what I took as advice when I started, was let the buyers tell you what something is. Let the buyers dictate to you what something is. Base your price on what you paid, and then do a little bit of research, and then, you'll learn as time goes on. If you put this out for $50 and it sells right away, you'll know the next time, maybe put it out at 85 and do a little bit of research. But on known forms, I say you're fine. But on ones that are slightly in the gray area, I say let the buyers tell you what things are. That's always been my advice to any other seller, because that's the advice I got when I was in my youth. And it has absolutely made me a lot of money and kept my business very honest and kept buyers coming back. These are the most incredible hand-beaded on leather bees, like physical bee, figural bees on a striped red and green ground. Look at that coiled thread, the coiled gold thread to make the legs and little antennas. And I like the size of these, they're gigantic. These were $1. So that was an instantaneous yes. Pierced earrings on the back, and maybe late 90s, but those were fantastic. Fun, fantastic, large, and very cool. Again, not signed, but, signature on that wouldn't matter, it just wouldn't on those. One of the most unusual things that I found, well, I'll wait until the very end because you always say a crescendo at the end, so I'm going to do it. Dragon's Breath in sterling silver. This one's just very beautiful because it's very delicate. The stone color off camera has a lot more color play. It's just that the light is really washing this out. Electric blue flashes over the most beautiful of like a peachy pink base color in sterling silver. Look at that blue flash, though, on that opalescent ground. Almost looks exactly like genuine opals, but nope, just Dragon's Breath. Just glass, bezel set in sterling. Wonderful size to wear multiples of. So I loved the clasp, too. I love these clasps that are so strong and click in and have been there forever. Stood the test of time. Well over 100 years, on this one. Definitely over 100 years old on this one. Bezel set, and again, I loved those Dragon's Breath stones. That was, hate to admit it, but that was only $20. So that was an instantaneous yes out at Hartville. This is one of the rings that I have to do some more research on, and most of you had really clamored in the video to see this up close. And this was in my short feed from Hartville from this morning, and look at that. I don't know exactly what we're dealing with, whether we're dealing with Santa Maria Aquamarine, the finest in the world, or a blue topaz, or possibly a synthetic. It is set in one of the most gigantic, thick-walled, solid 14 karat gold mountings. And that's a retro beauty. That's from the 40s or the 50s. It is not contemporary. Look at the thickness of that shank. Look how thick that shank is on the back. I've always said you can't dictate the quality of a ring by how thick the metal is, and that is no exception. Stone is remarkable because there's no needle-like inclusions, and I don't see a lot of color zoning. I still go with blue topaz or a synthetic. So, but a fantastic find. I will check this stone out, because if that is Santa Maria Aquamarine, that could, if this is blue topaz and 14 karat gold, it's around $400. That would be a going rate for that much gold and that large of blue topaz, and maybe $500 or $600. And I'm saying resale. Wholesale, a retail in a store would be $1,500 for sure. Maybe $1,700. Now, if that's Santa Maria Aquamarine, it elevates the value to about $10,000 to $15,000, and I don't think it's there. But again, I'm going to do some further research. I don't have a Presidium. I just don't. So I have to spend some more time with it. I have to use, a stronger magnification to look at it. And I'm also going to ask one of my gemological friends here, the push and pull of the light through the stone. There's something going on there that looks almost too good to be real, but I had another one of these that looked too good to be real, and it was a genuine aqua. So anyways, we'll do some further research on that. I'll keep you posted on that one. And then this gold rope, this is quite exceptional. It's a gigantic gold rope, and this was in, again, a dollar bin, and I think in weight, I think this was 8.7 grams or 9 something grams. It's about a 24-inch rope, and it's really beautiful. It's solid. That's a solid rope. It's not hollow. Very, very solid. Very, very, thick. And it's got the barrel clasp. It's signed way up here, 14 karat. and just really fantastic for condition and for wearability. Gold ropes are very sellable right now, very hard to find at a moderate price. Because the price of gold is so high and continues to go up. So I would say a retail on that one, I'm probably going to ask around $375. Maybe $350. But in the store it'd be $700 or so because of the length too. I think that's 24. Yeah, that's about 24 inches. But I loved that. So that was a very good buy. That was exciting. In a jumbled up box. This is a Mexican sterling necklace. The green stones, we'll get into the stones later, but these are more than likely green onyx, the way they are polished and the color. And it clicks together with a hidden clasp, but this is going to be a little hard to show. But look how cool that is for a Mexican necklace. And I loved that the stones were facing the wearer. Normally in these, it's flipped. Normally with these, the stone is on the outside, but that's the way it clasps, so that's the way it was supposed to be worn. Those stones are supposed to be facing the wearer. Those stones are supposed to be facing the person wearing it. And I loved those foliate links. That's very, very, very cool. And it's signed, where was this one signed? Oh, here we go. I want to show you sterling. And I think it's signed Mexico on, maybe it was the clasp it was signed Mexico. I think on the inside of the clasp here it's signed Mexico. So we'll have to look close at that. But fantastic for a Mexican sterling necklace. That's late 1940s, early 1950s. And I would say, retail, boy, if you had a retail store, like $275, but I won't sell it for that. I'll sell it for much, much less. So we'll put that in there. Fantastic for Mexican sterling. Iris glass. Again, I'm not a fan. It's not that I knock it. It's just that, you would say, why would you buy something you're not a fan of? Well, I buy a lot of things that I don't love. I buy a lot of things that I like. I buy a lot of things that are unusual that I know I can sell, but I like the color in this one. A lot of times they get very washed out and very pale and almost pastel. And I'm not a pastel kind of person. I like saturated colors. I like bright colors. I like things that are, a little bit more prominent. But this is a large one. That's probably one of the biggest I'd seen. And I was talking to one of my friends, and we did used to call this watermelon glass. That's what we all called it. All the vendors and all the dealers that I asked, and now all of a sudden we have to call it iris glass. Because if we don't, we get yelled at. We get a lecture series, Everyone loves to be lectured, right? So, Sarcasm Jones over here. Bail is fantastic because it's very large. And I love that pierced out gallery that holds the stone. Really cool. And again, if someone were to call this watermelon glass, I would say, oh, you're an old school dealer. You've been around for a very long time is what I would say. And then I would know that I was in really good company with not getting yelled at, as I try and distract myself by this necklace. This is a fantastic amethyst, genuine amethyst ring. This did come from Rogers. And I think I got this one from Linda. And the metal is gold-plated sterling, and I don't normally do vermeil just because it's just not my thing. That amethyst, though, look how huge. And look at the color saturation, and it is genuine. The faceting on that as an oval, that's got to be at least 50 carats, probably hedging on maybe about, probably about 55 or 58 carats would be my weight estimation, just because I've been around so many of them. It's going to be around 55 carats. The color and the push and pull of the light that goes through the stone, look how cool it is. It's really a beautiful, very even colored amethyst. And then these are probably just colorless sapphire or colorless spinel. I don't think those are CZs. And then the mounting is really beautifully done. So that is a very special amethyst and huge. Like I said, it's a great big stone. So that's probably, I'll put that one on hold and probably bring that to one of my sales on YouTube, which I hope I get that started soon. Then we're going to save this last one, the best one for last. This is quite incredible. You don't normally find these in gold. And this one is, in fact, 9 karat gold. And this came from Hartville. Again, I bought this kind of late in the day, not expecting to walk up to a booth with someone that had never set up before. But this family was clearing out their items of their loved one, and this was very moderately priced. I don't really want to say on camera. 9 karat gold, and then signed with a whole bunch of English hallmarks on the back. Tons of English hallmarks. And then when this padlock is opened, you just open it here, right here on this, and then this comes off. There's a beautiful safety that kind of holds that whole thing together, and then you slip this on here, and then you snap it shut. Now, I don't know if this one took a key or not. 90% of the time, these took a key to lock them, and then you'd have the key on here. I'm not sure this one ever locked, just because that mechanism with that little push tab, you don't need to lock it. It's just meant to look like it would be locked. But those screw heads, the faux screw heads, and then check out that beautiful graduated curb link chain in solid 9 karat rose gold. That was an amazing find. I think in weight it's like, I think it's around 330. I think it's like $330 or $340 just in gold. But I loved the oxidation to that rose gold. So that was beautiful. Almost 45 minutes in, and I still feel, a little panicked, but I don't have much left. These were all the buttons that I had found, and I'll just leaf through them really, really quick, and we'll talk about these eventually because there were some very interesting ones in there, and I'll do a whole nother button video. I think these were earring backs, gold earring backs. There were more gold earring backs in that little container. Mother of pearl shell that was carved, and I really liked those. Sometimes they're green snail. Those I don't think, those might be green snail. Yeah, those might be green snail shell. Those might be, actually. I think I might just made a mistake. Those are green snail shell. And then this is silver. No, not sterling. Those are steel, mother of pearl, and cut steel in steel cups. Very old, 1870, set of 4 of them. These were fantastic. Now, these are mother of pearl, set in a zinc tin and a steel back on those. Set of 6. Very lovely construction and great luster. Great glow on those mother of pearl. So those were, I could probably get $8 a piece, and I paid $2 for the whole card. So I said yes to that. I have gotten away from doing the button shows. I used to do the national button shows, and I think the last time I did one was around 8 years ago. These are cut steel and steel cups, but look how little those cut steels are. They look like marcasite, but those are just little cut steel riveted to a little metal part and then riveted into these steel cups. Those were $1, and I said yes to those in great condition. These are quite unusual. Oh, it's stapled shut. Oh well, it's keeping me out of there. Probably keeping me on time of the video. They are lacquered and then inset tiny mother of pearl flowers and leaves. And these are a whole set of, I think, 10 or so. But look at those. Victorian. 1860, 1870 on those. Really cool for old buttons, old clothing buttons. These were unusual, and I wish I could take them out. But these are griffins. These are little Victorian picture buttons, and I think they made this in 2 or 3 sizes, but these are die-pressed brass. There's a whole bunch of them, probably 15 or 16 of them in there, but those are all little dragons all over those buttons. And talk about whimsical, mythological creatures. Really unusual design on those. I like the finish. It's kind of a toned brass, and those are original 1880, maybe 1880, 1890 on these. And I'd say per button, probably at least $5 a piece, and a whole set of them. You just don't find that anymore. You just really don't. These are Marion Weaver buttons. And those are large bananas. Those are so cool. It should be my theme. I should put one of those on my jacket because I go bananas all the time. So those are Marion Weaver celluloid from the late 1930s, early 1940s. Those being oversized, probably $20 a piece online still. And they look realistic because they've got that painted brown, like they're, starting to become really ripe. I think those are just so much fun. Marion Weaver buttons. Look up Marion Weaver. You'll be quite fascinated. These, unfortunately, are stapled shut too. I don't know why people staple these bags, probably just so you don't lose any of them. But these are little lacy glass buttons in a cranberry color with a gold kind of wash over the surface. I loved these. Those were 50 cents. And I was like, yes, for a Victorian. See how the metal shank is inset? That's a Victorian technique that looks like that. Now, there was a more contemporary version of that. I'll show you the more contemporary versions, but these are period Victorian. Very old. Very, very old on those. And I loved them very much. So I got those. And then these are by Leo Popper. And I had mentioned Leo Popper. You know, you're probably sick of hearing about it. But too bad, so sad. Leo Popper, I'm going to take the staple out of this. Leo Popper buttons are quite magnificent. They're always glass. And they're these kind of mottled glass with silver foil inclusions. These look like lapis glass. And then they're included with these kind of pink and green mottled spots. And then you can see that silvered, see the silvered finish? Leo Popper buttons always have this inserted key shank. It's like a key. Looks like a key that you put in a door, and the rest of the shank is inside the button. But they call that the keyhole shank on the back. And that's a very strong indicator that those are by Leo Popper. And they're Popper glass. And we see sometimes this Popper glass is now appearing more frequently in the sash buttons and sash buckles from the 1890s, 1900 time period. But these are Leo Popper, oval and large. So on each one of those, probably around $25 a piece. An odd color and an odd design, and the way it's embossed and the way it's pressed, and the size and the color. That's why those are up there in price. Most Popper buttons are between $5 and $15. When you get into larger or unusual color or shapes, the price can elevate. I remember when I went to a show, there was a card of Popper buttons the last time I was there. I think the cheapest one on the card was $20, and the most expensive was around $65 just for a single button. So be on the lookout for vintage and antique clothing buttons. And then the grand finale, Saphiret glass. And early Saphiret is incredibly hard to find. And these are as early as Saphiret glass gets. These are definitely European cut, made to look like, shall you say, cushion shaped, because they're slightly out of round. So they're kind of cushion shaped. They are the most electric blue and purple. If I were able to dim the light down a little bit, let me try that real. No, I can't reach it. It's not going to happen. I'll try and bring these back to a lightbox video. The push and pull of that blue and purple on this is exceptional. Unfortunately, they're a little washed out, but I hope you can see that bicolor of purple and blue. Look at these mountings. So that is silver where the containment of the stone is, where the little prongs are, and then that's rose gold for the wire. They open up at the top. These are purely Victorian. And finding anything this early in Saphiret glass is very difficult. But look at that, and then that opens up at the top. You put it through the ear, and then you close this down into that tiny little hole right at the top of the stone. So you just take this so carefully. Let me do it so it's done right. Oops, missed the hole. Oops, it's so small. I just clasped it there. So gold ear wires, silver topped gold, and then these amazing Saphiret glass and Victorian drop earrings. These, I don't want to comment on price just yet because I haven't found a pair this early in a very long time, but I just know that to a serious collector, they're going to be way up there in price. And I mean way up there. Faceted, look how exceptional faceted Saphiret is. Saphiret. And, you know, you think about this and you're amazed because you see it in cabochon all the time, but faceted, boy, doesn't that look like $1 million? And there's some people that say, well, I don't like it faceted. Boy, are you missing out. You are missing the boat. And then on these, as earrings go, they're probably the finest you'll ever find. So those were Um, I don't want to say what I paid for them, but they were in another kind of junk bin, completely forgotten about it. And the lady said, "Oh, yeah, those are just glass." She said, "Those aren't gemstones. I had them tested at the jeweler's, and those are just glass." And I said to myself, oh, I was so thankful. I thanked God and Goddess. I thanked the universe. And I said, "Thank you so much for having those tested as glass." So that's it. That sums up the video. We made it. Thank you again so much. Happy Saturday to everyone. And remember, get out there and look because these items are out there. I'm going to clean up the staples from the table. I'm going to clean up my area. And I'm just going to say thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you do for me. I really appreciate it. The comments, the views, the love that I still feel, I just have to thank you. And remember, please go over to the four, lovely ladies that I sent you to earlier. I think you'll be completely delighted. More referrals coming, of course, in the next, few videos. And I want to go back to my roots and be thankful to all my people in this community because I am. And you know how I end this? Happy Saturday. I love you so much. Mwah.